and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stu Booth.
I like the King.
King Booth, I like
King
that.
Booth. And I'm Jonathan.
You almost forgot your name then.
It's
been a long week, hasn't it, Jackie boy?
Oh, my goodness me.
And we're at the wobbly table again.
2 weeks to go for a week off.
Oh, is that what it is? I love working, I don't even count to holidays. That's what type of trooper I am. Right, today's show we're going to be talking Premiership is back. Get rid of them international.
That's why he's smiling.
Get rid of them international something. Expletives. Fury and what's going on with Joshua, so that's quite an interesting debate. We are going to cover something about the international football because I've got a question to ask Jack, and I suppose we'll have to stick it in some about
what are we doing?
Cricket.
What you're sticking in there?
Yeah, easy, Tiger, easy. Right, okay, we'll start with your sporting week, Jackie boy, because it's been awesome, hasn't it?
Well, no, it wasn't particularly great at the weekend. The worst performances are Wanderers side, unfortunately.
Oh, so wasn't they played well? You just didn't.
They did play well as well. I think I described it as what they did to us on Saturday is exactly what we did to sides last year. Like when we sort of got on top, just squeezed them and didn't let them go, basically. So, yeah, I mean, they're a good side. They had 17 players there at the toss, so they picked 11.
I will say they can only play 11.
Correct. But I think it just shows you the depth that they've got there. The corporate side, I haven't got a problem with that, just quietly. I've not got a problem with playing pros or anything like that. We just weren't at it. We started off okay. When I was out, we were 50 for 2 off 8, something like that.
And what were you on at that point? What were you personally?
I got 24. Okay. And then from that point on, like I said, they just squeezed us. Their 2 spinners are really good. One of them actually just been picked up in their T10, Farouk. So they just squeezed us, and we just couldn't really get going. You know, Brannan tried to anchor the innings, but it's not really his natural game, and eventually got bowled out for 110. So
that's a bit disappointing. But on that news, before we talk about what score they got, one of your players.
Yeah,
great news.
Unbelievable, yeah. So young Ethan, 16. So you'd have heard me waxing lyrical about him last year throughout, and he was at the awards when he picked up 3 or 4 different of our awards, and so on. Was it Monday night, I think, or Tuesday night was the draft on YouTube for the Abu Dhabi T10, which attracts a lot of big name players from around the world, which starts in November, and as part of that the squads have to pick 3 UAE based players, and the Team Abu Dhabi picked Ethan as one of their 3, which
great opportunity.
So he's the youngest ever to be drafted in the Abu Dhabi T10, and that there's a rumour going around that he's probably the youngest by a few days ever in any of this franchise cricket, T10, T20 or whatever. So I mean, whether he'll play many games or any, don't know, but what an experience.
I was going to say, just to be in there with the pros.
Yeah, because I mean, Team Abu Dhabi are going to be coached by Paul Farbrace, who's the former England coach, and then they've got the likes of Chris Lynn, Australian, Vince from England, Phil Salt is coming up with England, Tim Mills, the list goes on. So
it's almost like being in the changing room with Big Jack Luffman.
Well, to be honest with you, he's used to being around big stars in the shape of me and Clint, isn't he? So it'd be like a duck to water. But no, brilliant experience for him, and he's much deserved. And I think he is playing Sunday for us for our second 11 because he's not available Saturday because they've got an academy game. And I'm not quite sure how much we'll see of him now, Stu, to be honest.
It keeps him grounded.
Yeah, but and also, he'll play for us when he's available, but if he's not available for us and it's because he's playing representative cricket or being part of the UAE squad, then all credit to him.
Amazing. Well, we wish you all the luck, Ethan, and we'll keep an eye out on future results. So you all out for 110?
Yeah, and then see, you've not got enough runs, right? Facts of the matter, that there's not enough runs, but you just never know in cricket. If
you're playing against England, anything could happen.
Correct, and if you start well, like I think yesterday, South Africa were 9 for 5. So if all of a sudden we got, I don't know, we were saying let's get 30 for 4, something like that, see what happens. But they sent out probably their best player, and he took 24 off Clint's first over. So game's done. I mean, Clint didn't bowl a bad over. He just chanced his arm, chasing a low total like that. if you can get ahead of the
just
game.
came out swinging.
Yeah, so and not just like 24 runs, obviously is a huge, almost a quarter of the total. Just any kind of hope that we had.
Especially when your best bowler just been spanked around the park.
So at one point, I actually thought they were going to win it with no wickets down inside the power play. Thankfully, we got it to about the 11th or 12th over, and we did take a wicket.
Right,
but,
so clean. It's about time you got back in the nets, mate. Obviously, just not producing the goods anymore.
But so it was back down to earth. The second team on Sunday had a better game, lost in the last over again, defending 190. But the big positive there was another debutant who's just arrived from your neck of the woods, from the northwest in England. He's in Abu Dhabi. His wife's a teacher in Abu Dhabi. Came across with Big Ben or Little Ben, and he got a.
I was going to say which part of Ben's big.
Well, ask Vars, he'll tell you. Danny Porter got 100 on debut.
Oh, awesome!
Looks a very good addition. So he's into the first team this week. So
congratulations. Well, you've got to be in the first team. If you're scoring 100 in the seconds, and the first team players can only get 20.
Well, he actually got more than us.
Combined,
to be honest with you. So there we go. We go again. We go again on Saturday. What about yourself? Tonight you're playing.
Yeah. So last week we recorded after our game. This week we are recording before the game. So we've got last friendly of pre-season. So we're playing. I don't know, how do you pronounce that word? I'll show you, and you can tell me what does that look like. But for me, I'm thinking it looks like Maserati.
Yeah, or Mazarita, I would say.
Maserati.
But Maserati sounds better.
Maserati. So we're playing them tonight. Last game of pre-season. So good test because a lot of Arab lads. So it's a completely different style of football they'll be playing. It'll be a little bit naughty.
Hell for leather.
Off the ball. So yeah, it'll be good. So we're looking. I think we've got about 15, 16 for tonight. So probably not far off. Our potential full squad ready to go into next week, and fixtures have been released. So
very good.
A couple of key dates. The third game of the season, we played last year's winners of the league, who we came second to, Dubai FC.
And when's the game against your equivalent of the cricket side that which shall never be mentioned?
Yes, our reserve team.
Now then.
We play them on the
10th
of November.
10th of November.
So All Stars versus All Stars Reserves, also known as DHL Vets. We play them on the 10th of November. So yeah, first few fixtures. I wouldn't say they've been too kind to us there. I'd say they're quite tasty fixtures there. But if we can come out by the time it gets to the 17th of November and won all our games, we will be in a fairly strong position, I can imagine.
And then you start that again at the second half after Christmas. Is that right?
That I think he just literally on one group he just put
just like a thing of it,
just like a snippet of the first few games. But
okay.
I think let me have a quick look because I have them here.
Oh yeah. You could play.
Oh no, I can only see to the 10th of November. So
yeah.
they potentially will. I think they'll run them up to December and then they'll break for December, which is probably nice little time to break because everybody will be off on the jollies.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to it.
Good. Perfect.
Right. So, do you want to go? We'll go with
a question for me.
All right. Okay. Right. So, a question being, there was a question posed by Henry, but we're not going to go down that route because he was questioning Saka versus Foden. I think that's a bit of a pointless question because two different positions.
Yeah.
Two different style type players. I know Saka came on and played well for England the other night, and I'd say Foden's probably not hit his stride at international level, but I think for Foden it probably needs game time with City consistently to then help him with the international career.
Hey, look, they're both great players, aren't they? Young good players, but if I'm picking one, they are different types. But if I'm picking one for more natural ability, I'm going Phil Foden every day.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a flick of a coin. I think they're both very.
That's not saying Saka's no good, but
it's just.
I
think you pick players for the situation of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But we are going to stick with England, and the question is, Gareth Southgate is England's worst run in a long time.
Is it since 1993?
It's a ridiculously long time. Should they pot him and bring in somebody new?
It's difficult because I think I said before, in the summer after that terrible run of results, that these two games here could prove pretty tricky for the FA more than anybody else. And he's not answered any questions, has he, really? Other than, I didn't see any of it. Friday, I couldn't find it on my TV because it's on Channel 4, isn't it, in England?
Oh, see.
So I didn't find it. And then I started watching it on Monday night, and I just couldn't, I was too tired, so I went to bed. I did watch the highlights. I've read the reports. By all accounts, they weren't actually that bad on Monday.
It was 0-0 to like the 60th minute, wasn't it?
And then Maguire made 2 mistakes for their goals, and then.
But then is that way? I know you've always defended Maguire because he's always played well in English shirt.
But that's like says blind. What do they call it?
Blind love.
Or whatever. Blind loyalty. You know, so it might have cost them. And I think after that, they were, by all accounts, they were the England that we know they can. Then shackles are off. Yeah, and again, it was just a howler, wasn't it, from Pope that cost them the win. So the results haven't gone their way, and I know what. I don't think they can get rid of him because, first of all, who are they going to bring in?
Well, it's interesting because I've just got an article up here that suggested 5 people.
Okay, so I'll have a guess at those 5 people in a minute.
Okay.
But who do they bring in? Question mark. There's no time to work with him. Now, is that a big good or bad thing? I don't honestly know. I think he's got enough credit in the bank from his tournament performances. But, and this would never happen because I don't think the FA are like this, and he is an FA man, isn't he? But if I was the FA, whoever hires and fires, I'd have him down, say, look, you're keeping your job, we'll reassess it after the World Cup. But by goodness me, can you please play to our strengths? Because that's the most frustrating thing.
I would go a slightly different route. Firstly, I'd probably get rid of him. But if you're going to keep him for this tournament, I'd bring his predecessor in now.
Sam?
Yeah, Big Sam's going to come in. No, I'd bring his predecessor, not his predecessor, his next in line.
Right,
he's next in line. So
Successor.
Sorry. My apologies, been a long day. His successor in now to sit with him during the tournament so they get the experience and the know-how of what's going on in the tournament, so then they're ready to take over straight into the qualifications. I think that in any line of business that you work in, if you have somebody that's going to come in and take over, there's a handover period.
Yeah.
But in sport, it seems to be very objective towards that because it's almost like this is his way. He's going to do it up until the point he gets sacked.
And particularly international level, you have got a bit of time to do that, haven't you? And there's no doubt Southgate will probably go upstairs to technical director or whatever position. I mean, I think he's done. You can't argue, and I take your point with getting somebody to sit with him because his tournament, what he's done in tournaments, they've got great results, haven't they? And we've seen social media footage and the players talking about what a great camp he's created. So maybe that's his strength. I don't know, but I wouldn't sack him quite.
Southgate's biggest strength is that his camp.
Yeah, he likes his camps. I would stick with him, but my God, the goods have got to improve, haven't they?
Right, okay, so this article, who do you think the 5 are?
Well, I think two people are always going to get mentioned, and that would be Lampard and Gerrard.
Right on one and wrong on the other.
Okay.
Lamps is not in there.
Right, okay, that surprised me. I'm just going with, I would say, if he's anything like some of the articles I've read, I think my man Pochettino's maybe been mentioned.
Yeah.
Left field one would be Sean Dyche, maybe?
No, but there is a left field one out there.
Mourinho?
No. He's English.
I mean, the other 2 English guys that have always been talked about before are Eddie Howe who's at Newcastle now.
He's mentioned.
And Potter, who's just gone to Chelsea.
He's mentioned, so you're missing one more that's left field. Shall we go? I'll give you a clue. Brand new in the Premiership.
He's brand new in the Premiership. Oh, the guy at Forest, Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper. Yeah.
Because he did well with the 17s and the 19s, whatever. I mean, I think there's a fair few people out there that could probably do the job, but I don't know. It'd be a big call to do it now, wouldn't it?
You say that the big call was putting Southgate in charge to start with.
Well, yeah, but that would be proven right.
So
up until this last 6 months, up until
really, you're saying said, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that because he's a left field, but Southgate was a left field.
Yeah, he was a little bit because his club record's not great, is it?
No. Well, it wasn't even at a club when he got appointed.
No, and he was under 21s, wasn't he? Whatever. I don't know. He's got 6 months. I mean, I was reading something the other day. They reckon since the final, since half time when he got outwitted by Mancini when England let's be honest, England should have won that final. He's just, results and performances dip. So I don't know. Be interesting.
Maybe he should have bowed out at that point. But right, we'll park international football because it's boring, unless it's a World Cup tournament. But we will look at this weekend. It's back. Premier League is back. Starting with Arsenal versus Spurs at 12:30. We are back with a bang.
Right, what a game.
Matty Alder's going 2-2. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I think a draw, and I think Spurs would definitely take a draw. I think a draw would be probably right. Difficult, isn't it, after the international break? With what form any players coming back injured. A lot of Arsenal players have actually travelled to Africa and come back.
Party's back. Got injured in the warm-up before Brazil.
Yeah, we've got Rich Carlson in Brazil, so I don't know. It's a good test of both sides, isn't it? Because people say, it's a good test of where Spurs are at. Actually, go the other way around, because surely it's a good test of where Arsenal's at, because Spurs actually finished above them last year, and at 1 point in it at the minute. So we'll see. I think Spurs will take a point there.
And when Arsenal win. Right, we'll park that one. Bournemouth, Brentford, the Battle of the Bees. There's not really much to talk about them, so we'll skip them. But we will go to Potter's first game, away to Crystal Palace. Tricky place to go to for an opening Premiership game for Potter. I know he's had Champions League games prior, but that is not an easy fixture to start with. And Vieira has that team playing some alright football and very, very dangerous if Wilf Zaha is fully fit and able to play.
And at home, yes. Not easy there, because you wouldn't have thought, he's not had long with any of the players, Potter, to do anything.
Not with the fact they've been on the international break.
Yeah, it's not an easy, like I say, not easy debut in the Premier League from there.
Yeah. Next game, Fulham Newcastle, which I think is also quite intriguing because Fulham not been brilliant on the road, but have been quite strong at home. And Mitrovic carried on his goal scoring trait in international.
He's scored 50 goals in 76 games or something now.
Yeah, he's doing alright for himself.
Yeah.
And Newcastle will be wanting. Newcastle will probably pick that up and go, right, we can see us getting 3 points here. But I think Fulham might have gone with that Brentford mentality of last year, making the home games a bit of a fortress.
Just trying to get as many points at home as you can.
And going on there. And then Brighton.
Their new man in charge, who I've never heard of, some Spaniard.
No, his debut at Anfield.
Good one for Liverpool to get back on track.
I think for Liverpool it's probably a nice one to come back into. Brighton again, they seem to play alright against Liverpool, so I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch yet, but I'd expect 3 points.
It'd be interesting to see what style. You would have thought, the way that Brighton have done their business in the past, you'd have thought that they've gone for a man of the similar mould. You'd have thought.
You have to. They don't have the money to invest, so you've got to carry on. You've got to carry on playing. You've got to build that game up slowly because they've got no front man.
No. Well, Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, they've got no front man. And then we also see at 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock our time, Southampton versus Everton.
Strange game, that.
Another one. There is some weird fixtures out this weekend. It seems to be a bit of a strange one. And then the last game is West Ham United versus Wolverhampton Wanderers, the battle of the W's.
Yeah. The big game Sunday, isn't it? Or the next big game.
So on the Sunday we have City versus United, minor game. That will be another interesting one because
I think
Ten Hag will be now pitching himself up. Probably people would say is the best Premiership manager about at the moment.
And you talk about Spurs, Arsenal. It'll be a benchmark to where Man United are, because I think they obviously recovered well after that Brentford loss. They've gone well, but
they beat both Liverpool and Arsenal since then.
Yeah,
so.
But I'm not sure. I think we're going a bit overboard a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, if in all honesty, if you're a neutral and from the league, and Man United go there and put a performance in and put City under pressure, you're like,
well, let's be honest.
Opens up many doors for lots of sides.
City's back line has not been watertight this season.
And Walker was poor for England in the first game by all accounts.
Yeah.
And Stones kind of injured. So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, and the other game on the Sunday, again another intriguing one, is Leeds United versus Aston Villa, and the next game is Leicester City versus Forest. Briefly on to boxing, which has been, again, we talk about strange things happening in the football world. This is almost equally as weird. Is Fury gave Joshua a deadline. He's missed the deadline, which, according to Hearn, was an impossible deadline to meet.
Yeah.
But I always wonder exactly how much paperwork needs to go on behind the scenes in order for lawyers to sign it, in order to agree, because surely you've just got to agree venue, changing rooms, glove type, referee, and fee.
Yeah, fee, rematch clause. But you'd have thought there's a standard template when
I was going to say, surely if Fury's already sent it over, it doesn't take that long to go, right, I need to check these 7 things. No, yes, I want to change that. And then you send it back. But yeah, he missed the deadline, so Fury's like, that's it, you ain't fighting me, I'm going to go and fight somebody else. And then the guy that won last week, who beat Park, Joyce has then started calling Joshua out. He only turned pro at 31.
Yeah.
So he's been fighting pro for 6 years and knocked Parker out. That alone is a fit.
11 rounds, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's a decent effort. That. Yeah. So again, we're now sat balancing now, waiting to see if Fury is going to fight Joshua. So as he's given another ultimatum to sign by Monday. So this time next week we'll know if it's on or off again, or if there's another ultimatum.
Yeah, I don't know.
But surely, just what is wrong with it? If me and you genuinely wanted to fight each other, and it was that type of bout, they both earned enough money to then just be worried about. I'll take 100 million, you take 90 million. That's pennies.
Yeah,
it's next to nothing. When you
they should give it all a shot. I mean, I'm with you. I think it's half 6 to 1, half dozen the other. I think Fury's making himself look a bit of a tool with some of his outbursts and his language on social media and things like that, which I don't think helps him or helps the game of boxing. Then likewise, like you say, Joshua said we need to get his fight on, and by all accounts it's there. Why will delay? Even if you've not signed it, surely say you've signed it to get it going. Because I mean, what are they looking at? Is it the 3rd of December, the fight under the roof at the Millennium in Cardiff?
Yeah, I know exactly.
That's not that long far away, is it? In terms of what they have to do.
Not for training camps, but I know that they've. You have to do 3 different dates, didn't he?
Yeah, so
3 different venues.
I don't know, just lads, if you're going to fight, get it on.
If not,
take it around the back of the bike sheds if you need to.
It's one of them that fight or don't fight, just make a decision.
Yeah. Because it's a fight that every boxing fan in Britain and probably the world wants to see, without a doubt.
But I think it's getting to the point now where people are sick to death of this. They're just going to be like, we're past caring.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, Joshua's stock's gone. He's lost 3 of his last 5 fights, so it's on the downward curve. But at the same time, Fury's got the belts, but just keeps saying things and not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
So like you say, people just in the end will go, do you know what? This should have happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, we're done. Right, so just as that, we are moving on to cricket, which I'm done with already. But talk us through what's happening in the world of cricket.
So, world of cricket, Surrey were crowned county champions yesterday.
Congratulations.
Well, actually, they won last week, but they got the trophy thing yesterday.
And is it, when you say that, is that the 5-day one?
Yeah, 4-day county championship. Yeah. So that was good. And then England are still in Pakistan. They've moved on to Lahore. So they played last night. They're the 5th of 7 T20Is and lost again. So they're 3-2 down in the 7-match series.
After being 2-0 up?
No, they were 2-1 up. So they lost the last 2, in which they probably should have won them both. Sunday was the one they looked dead and buried, and then Dawson got back into it, and then they should have won. And then last night, only chasing 150 odd. Were a bit reckless up top, but then I still think they should have won with Moeen Ali finished 50 odd not out. I think if he finishes 50 odd not out, you should win the game.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing, and I know you're not much of a cricket fan, but I was going to ask you this, because you can probably, there's an analogy taken from all sports. So they're going into a World Cup campaign, obviously in 3 weeks' time or whatever. So there's an extended squad in Pakistan at the moment.
Yeah, you'd be looking at whittling it down, wouldn't you?
But they've already picked the squad, right? They had to pick it into the 15-man squad before they left. So they've got the 15-man World Cup squad, okay, in which they picked at the point Bairstow, who's obviously since got injured, so Hales has replaced him. for Stokes, who hasn't even arrived yet, he's had some time off after the Test match thing, which I'm not against that, but Wood, Jordan, and Wokes, right? Wokes played his first game since March last night. Wood's played 2 since then, obviously with injury. Jordan's not played yet, he's coming back from a broken finger. And Hale's there, he played straight away without having any international keeper for 3 years, and his performances have been checkered, let's say, in these 5 matches. So you've got 5 of your 15-man squad or 40-man squad who I would say there are doubts over. Bearing in mind, for Stokes' brilliance in the other formats, he's never really held down a place in the T20 or got found a role. And so then you've got this extended squad. There's people playing cricket for England this last week who aren't going to the World Cup. So is it not a bizarre situation?
Well, you know what this sounds like? You know when we tried to get Beckham at the World Cup?
Yeah, when he was
fit, and we tried to do the same with Rooney.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're doing the same thing.
And sorry to interrupt. Josh Butler, the captain, is also carrying injuries, not played yet. And he was interviewed last night, and they said, "Oh, how close are you, Josh? Because we've seen footage of you running and having a bat." He said, "Well, there's a World Cup game tomorrow. I'll play." So it sounds to me like he's not going to play any until the World Cup. Then what happens? What if he pulls up? What about foot? I just think they're a bit messed up at the minute, if I'm honest.
It does sound a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, hey, look, they obviously, you've got to trust them know what they're doing, and it'll all be to do with, the injuries will all be to do with comebacks and all that. I just think they were just a bit all over the place, and I just hope it doesn't cost them when they get to Australia. But they've got 2 more ODIs, T20Is, so you never know. But look, a quite easy play these next 2 or whatever it might be. But yeah, not strange situation really that they're in, but yeah, anyway.
Okay, right, well, before we disperse, it's a big weekend. I was just checking then. Draft. It's Stuart Booth versus Jack Lafleur.
Oh, the return?
It's the next game. I'm near the top of the league. I need to win this.
I need to do some work.
After losing my opening 2 games, I'm currently sat in second place. So yeah, me versus thee in the draft.
Wow, may the best man win. I also need to do my fantasy team.
Yeah, I messed up on that the other week, but yeah.
So yeah.
End of the day, Jack.
What do we do?